Page 22, Bourrée. A French dance. A dance. A fun piece, supposedly. Let's look it over and see what's going, because we're kind of moving around and still going crazy here. It's about a page and a half long. Actually, it's longer than that because there's a DCL coda. I'll talk about that a little later. Treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key of C major. Make sure you can do the C major scale. Well, 4/4 time signature, and we're coming in on a pickup beat, so we're coming in on beat 4. So in theory, there should be another measure with 3 counts in it. Now, if you look at the bottom of the page, on page 22, that has 3 counts in it, because this is in sections. Because page 23 is a different section. Well, it has its own pickup beat. Well, that means it should have its own 3 beat measure. And if you look at the 4th line down, last measure, that's got 3 counts in it. So again, all the measures got 4 counts total. That's close enough. Even the coda. Coda is a section by itself. If you look at the coda, it's got a pickup beat too, but at the end of the coda, it's 3 counts in that measure. We're good. Let's take it one hand at a time and see what we're doing. And right now, I'm going to connect everything. I'll do the articulation later. Right hand, you're here. With 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. No big deal. We'll look at the second line, second measure. You're here. And now it says both hands AVA. So you're going to lift up and move up here. Here. The notes are written here, but you got to go up here. You're basically doing the same thing. It's just an octave. And that ends at the bottom at the end of the page. And then so page 23, you're just going to go here, just down a little bit. Okay. Hopefully that's not too much of a problem. Look at the second line. They have you doing this. 2, and then a 3, and then a 2, 1, 2, and a 1. Back to that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 thing again. Yuck. I would suggest at the beginning of that line, I'm in this position. And when I get done with the second measure or part way through it, I want to be in this position. So I'm going to go from here to here. I'm going to do it with one hand move. I'm not going to keep going over the thumb. So here, second measure rather than 3, scrunch up a little more and use 5th. If you'd relax, this works. Now you're in position. You can play it all right here. That's what I recommend you do. Now, third line, you're going over for one note. That's fine. At the end of the third line, you're here, and they want see the LH there? Left hand's going to play that last note. Isn't that nice of it? Yeah. Because in the 4th line, you got right hand and left hand taking turns. So the right hand's going to play the notes with the stems going up, which is the E's. You see the AVA? And then 2 octaves higher up here. If you have a short keyboard, you just do the highest E's you got. That's fine. Where the left hand is doing the B's. And then in the coda, the last measure, they have you here. No. Use 2/5 here, so your thumb is ready for that. One hand position for all of that. See, the chord is that. It's a C chord. We're not using the G. We don't have to use all the notes. So that's the fingering. So 2/5 there, not 1/5. Now, left hand, well, you got chords at the beginning. You're just coming up the keyboard. That's all right. That's fine. Second line, second measure. Try and connect those if you can, and that's tricky. But it's really important that you be able to do that. Again, I use weight to push them down, and I'm simply lowering the weight on each chord, and I'm just switching which fingers. So I raise the wrist a little bit, and as I lower the wrist, I lower the weight, and I switch fingers. Here, to here, to here. Just practice this. You can do this in both hands. Just practice this over real slow. Just take your time with it. Try and get the notes down at the same time. I don't, but maybe you can. You get this pattern in piano quite a bit. It's kind of important that we get it. So don't shy away from it here. And then you lift up and come down. Okay. top of page 23, you're up here. And now we're just going to go down the keyboard. Just lift up and come down. G sharp, rest. And I assume you know what these notes are. Rest. And again, I'm connecting these now in these parallel thirds. Whoops, what happened there? Third line down, last measure. It's a G sharp B. Rather than here, it's here. And then you lift up. Actually, you can play that note with any finger you want. You don't have to use thirds. It's up to you. Now, if it's a little easier for you, on that third line down, last measure, rather than 2 and 4 or 4 and 2, you can use 4 and 1. Bring the thumb down and use that. Do that if you want to. If that is easy, because sometimes you need that fingering, so it's okay. And then you come up and play the last note in the upper staff with some finger. But then in the next line, you're going to keep the B. You got an 8VA, so actually the 8VA starts with the last beat of the first measure. So 1 B there, and then you come up here, and you get 2 of those, and then 2 octaves up. Oh, won't that be fun? You just gotta love it, don't you? Then in the coda, you're coming all the way down here. And for that last chord, it's a 2-5, not 1-5. Because again, the whole chord is that. We're not using the E, but that's the fingering. Here, 2-5. Put the hands together here, here. And when I go to put the hands together, I'm just interested in who plays at the same time. Here. Just make sure you lift up for the rest on the left hand here. That sounds good, doesn't it? Lift up and move up. This is both hands now because it's a note, otherwise it'd just be the top step. So as you're doing this, so I want to move one hand at a time if I can. So I'm taking advantage of the rest here. So in the second, and then lift up. This lifts up and moves together. And as I'm playing these notes, I get this hand up. So it's one hand at a time. Pretending middle C is up here is all it is. And then on page 23, here, left hand's coming down. Anyway, you work out the hands together. On the fourth line, you're up here, here. See that's not real clear. Let's go over that fourth line. So start with the last note in the third line. You're here. And then the fourth line is, first 3 notes are where they are, and then 8VA will come over here, up here, and then 2 octaves up higher, see? So you haven't had the symbol for 2 octaves yet. Actually it's a 15 MA, because everybody knows that 8 plus 8 is 15, at least in music it is. So it's just another octave up, is all. Again, if you have a short keyboard, just play the highest ones you've got. It's close enough. Just be aware that when you're done up here, you gotta come, you're going back to the beginning, you gotta come all the way back down here. There's no rest. There isn't a fermata there. So during the fermata, you can go ahead and get your left hand down here where it goes. That way you can just focus on the right hand, get it down. Rather than trying to move them both. That's what I would recommend. So go ahead and get the left hand where it goes. And that way you can make it a little easier for you, I hope. Now, once I have the hands and the rhythms and all the working, more or less, get rid of the hesitations. Keep it slow, no hesitations. And I think about the articulation. I'm going to hinge short. It's staccatos and slurs. You can do all of that, I hope. The coda at the bottom of page 23 is your staccatos. And then you got staccatos and accents. Just play them a little louder. But they're still short. Now, we need to lift up between the phrases in the right hand on page 23 because it's connected. Lift up. Lift up. lift up between the phrases. The left hand, you're going to connect it as best you can. So it's like on the second line, second measure on page 23 here. You can lift both hands up here because the left hand has a rest. But in the next line, first measure here, lift up, hold that down. Here, and then lift both together here. So make sure you're lifting up so we can hear the phrasing in here. And don't forget the natural accents. They're so important. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I want to feel that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way through. It's really important. Don't force them. Well, force them if you have to at first, but you want to get to where you're just feeling them. Then the dynamics. So it goes to the melody. Mezzo forte, moderately loud. Using sort of weight to keep the left hand light. Sort of like, then when you get to page 23, come down a little bit, the mezzo piano is sort of soft here. And this is a contrast now. This is all connected and smooth here. Very soft in the middle of the second line. That means the left hand is super soft. And then go on. You can connect these. This says slowly and freely in here. So you just like no rhythm, no nothing, you're just playing them. Here. So it's up to you on how you want to play those. Slowly and freely, I don't know, I have to get into it and start feeling it, and then I'll know how slowly or freely it's going to be. Then when you go back to the beginning, it's the same thing you've been doing, mezzo forte. But this bit on the fourth line, you're being very soft through all this, and you're still very soft on this. And you can get softer if you want, because as you go up on the piano, it's easier to get soft. Really super soft. It's like you're just fading away. Yeah. It's a nice effect. The fermata, you just hang on to it as long as it feels right, and then you go on. If I do it with a metronome, I'll hold it for 2 counts instead of 1, because I got to stay with the metronome. Now the DC, I'll coda. DC means go back to the beginning. The coda sign is at the bottom of page 22. The circle with the crosshairs. When you get to that point, you immediately jump over to the coda. So you're here at the bottom of page 23, and the coda, you just lift up and move. Here. You retardando slow down. Something like that. Really, you need to get into it, get comfortable enough with the notes and the rhythms that you're feeling this music and you're interpreting it. Play it as you feel it, so to speak. Just don't violate anything the music tells you to do. It's just that the music doesn't tell you everything. There's a lot of leeway you got in here. Now, as far as the speed goes, well, it has to be accurate. Allegro moderato's moderately fast, sort of. That's the feel of it. Put in a little bit of pedal there at the end of page 20, or the third line on page 23 here. If you want to use pedal there, that's fine. All it's doing is it's giving this, because you're holding this note out longer, it's just giving it some color. some overtones. Push the note down first into the pedal, and lift the note as you play the B. If you want to do the pedal, you go right. I'm not going to show it. That's all they're going to do. But that's fine if you want to do the pedal. Let's play this together very slowly and double check all of our notes and rhythms. I can do any dynamics, all about the same. I'll do the staccatos and stuff. I will do the DC al coda thing. So I'll give us 3 counts because we come in on beat 4. 1 and ready and go and. Hold. To the coda.